I'm gonna create a set of videos to show you the entire process of building a YouTube studio, and I wanna do it completely from scratch. I'm not gonna just show you how to set up a desk or how to sound treat a room or what cameras to use. I wanna show you the entire process, and I wanna start with a blank canvas behind me. I'm gonna turn my entire basement into a YouTube studio and have different places to film and different sets, and everything that goes into it is gonna be documented. And the reason why I wanna break this up into different sections is so when you refer back to it for reference or just for entertainment, you could actually watch the section that you want. So if you're creating a bedroom studio, you don't have to watch me build walls out here. But if you're starting from scratch, or maybe you wanna even finish your basement, this will walk you through that. And as you can see behind me, I'm gonna build a set over there, and I'm gonna build a set over there. All my tools are laid out, and I'll kind of walk you through it as we build this basement out. Now let me go through the design process and my thinking of how I'm going to lay out my YouTube studio. Now the same process as I'm going through here, it still applies even if you're taking a bedroom and turning it into a YouTube studio. Okay, it's the same process. You still have to draw out the room and think about the different things that are going to go in the room. But since I'm building from scratch, I'm not gonna worry about that just yet. Right now, I'm gonna worry about where are my walls going to go? How am I going to lay out the basement to get the most utilized space for shooting? So it's just not one space, maybe I want 2 or 3. So I'm gonna lay that up based on that. And I've already done that, so I wanna show you that. And I created a checklist of everything I buy throughout this whole process. So there's a master list from literally things that you require to have to build a basement or build any studio, like 2x4s to building walls and insulation, all the way to automation and building different camera setups and switchers and tripods. I wanted to create this master list really for myself, but I'll make it available to in the last set of videos when we get more involved. So let me just walk you through the layout process. This is what we're going to build in the next set of videos and complete our YouTube studio. Our main studio space, which is going to be the sound studio where most of our sound recording is going to take place, is going to be right over here. This is also the only area right now that's going to get a ceiling. I'm going to leave the rest of it without a ceiling. Then when you exit this room, you could come to this other studio, which at this time is only going to be for creating footage that doesn't require sound or photography related things. And then this area, which is the biggest area, is over 300 square feet. Right now it's just going to be a gym, but we'll see what this turns out. This may extend to be a third studio here in this basement. And this is basically the checklist that I created for myself of all the different tools that I had to buy for this job. And most people think basements are very noisy, and that's true. You got your sump pump going all the time, the furnace could kick on, people could walk upstairs. But the way I'm gonna build this out is really going to work against a lot of that sound to really soundproof it. That's one of the benefits of building it from scratch. I could decide how thick the walls are going to be. I could decide the insulation on the wall and the ceiling. I could decide the flooring. I could decide if it's carpet or if it's hardwood. All of that is gonna help me with soundproofing. And then I'll talk about sound treating, which is some of those panels you see right there on the wall. That's sound treating. That's for reducing echoes. And I don't have to wear the mic I wore in the basement. I could just set up a mic above me and just sit down and press record. Okay, it makes things go a lot faster this way. And now that I've laid down the plan, let's start the building process in the basement. The first thing we're going to do is build out the exterior walls. And then the second thing we'll do after that is build the interior walls to divide the space into multiple studios. Okay, so let me kind of show you around what we got going on. This is gonna be the first day that we're starting this job, so I'll kind of walk you through some of the things we got going on here. On this old air hockey table that I'm not keeping, I've laid out all the different tools. Again, this is on that document too that I've already put together. So most of it I bought from Amazon and some of the things from Home Depot here. So the very first tool I used is this. This basically creates a line on the floor using chalk. So if you look down here, I basically put chalk, which is this, just this powder, this chalk powder, into that, and then it allows me to create lines. So let me bring you over here to show you. I've already laid it out, but over here is basically a chalk line, and our 2x4s that we have over there are going to lay down right here on the floor on this side, just about ½ inch away from the wall or so. And then I'm gonna have to do that throughout the whole basement. Now, these 2x4 lumbers, there's two different types, right? We have this type right here. These are what's called pressure treated. The one I put against the concrete floor has to be one of these pressure treated lumbers. And then the actual walls, that's what these are going to be, okay? So this one is gonna be the one that goes on the floor, and then we're gonna build the wall with these. Now, as we go through this video, I'm gonna talk a lot more about insulation. I did have this other piece of insulation here that you could actually glue to the wall, to the concrete. So I'm actually gonna put this on some of the walls that I have, just because I already bought about 12 pieces of these. So step one was basically, after I have my design, to print it out, bring it down to the studio space where I'm gonna build out, and with the chalk line, basically lay out where my walls are going to be. So I already did that for all the exterior walls. Let's go ahead and build the first wall. I started with framing the second studio first, and I'll post a complete framing video. I don't want to bore you with how to frame walls here, since this is a YouTube studio video. I'll make that a separate video. But the whole idea was kind of to measure and mark the studs, basically every 16 inches where the studs are gonna go, and then lay down the bottom and the top studs, and then mark all my measurements. And then I'm building 8-foot walls here. So a lot of experts told me to build 10-foot and 12-foot walls, but a lot of times I was gonna work by myself, so I thought 8-foot walls are going to be the only ones I could pick up. Then I basically measured from the floor to the ceiling for every stud. Typically they were about 91 inches, and then I used the nail gun and the compressor to nail everything together. Basically the idea is you build all the walls on the floor and then you stand them up into place. Once they're in place, you make sure they're straight, and then you secure them to the wall on the top, to the joist with the nail gun. And there's this tool called the ramset. It's pretty cool, but it shoots nail into the concrete to make sure they're secure on the bottom. And really the biggest challenge ended up being to making sure these walls are level and straight. So I just would use a level and a laser level, just make sure everything is nice and straight, so when they put up drywall, everything is gonna look right. And obviously we're not professional, so it took a bit of time. And at this point, sometimes I was a little stuck. I couldn't actually find a good tutorial on some things that I was trying to do. So I ended up buying a course from a guy that makes YouTube videos. He had a course on finishing basements. And I figured out, for example, how to put up a wall where I couldn't actually secure it on top. There was no joist there, there was a pipe there. So he actually had a really interesting method for actually putting blocks on the wall first and then securing the wall, because the wall that you built in a basement can't be touching the concrete. It has to have a little bit of separation, but it still needs to be secure on top and bottom. And a lot of times that was a little bit difficult. So I ended up buying that course, ended up saving me a ton of time. Once I finished the second studio, I moved over to the main studio, the big one that is going to be completely soundproofed. And we started with the pink insulation, basically just glued those to the wall. And then I started building more walls. So this room I worked all by myself, and it took a big toll on my body. I was sore every single day. And it took me several days actually to do this room, because there were a lot of obstacles I had to work around, and I had to figure out how to make walls around windows. Everything just ended up taking much longer for the exterior walls of this room, but it ended up working out. I managed to finish the exterior walls in this studio, I think in about 5 or 6 days. And then I moved to the last room, and this last room took me about another week or so here, because I had to frame around the sump pump, and I had to figure out how to frame around the panel, the electric panel. But by the time I was done, I was really getting quite fast with building walls. I could build a wall in a little over an hour, really, when I was really working hard and had a little bit of help. All right, we're done putting up all the walls on the outside. So next is the walls on the inside, the interior walls here. And this right here is gonna be the studio space, about 21 feet this way, 12 feet this way, door, big 36-inch door over there to go into the photo studio easy with equipment and things like that. So today I'm putting up these walls and I have some help, and then all I have to do is do this hallway wall over here and then put up the bathroom wall. So almost done, about 6 walls. And this thing took me, how long has it been? It's been 2 weeks, and I've been working almost full time on it. So almost 70 hours of work. My hands hurt, but I'm happy to finish up the framing, and then I'll walk you through the next steps too. I finally took care of the framing. It took me almost 4 weeks. Let me show you around. Let's start here with the main studio here that is going to be completely soundproof. The ceiling, the walls, everything is gonna get some heavy insulation. And this is going to be pretty large, so I'm hoping to get at least 2 or 3 different backgrounds. And I dropped the ceiling down a little bit too here, about 1.5 inches, just because I want the drywall to be a little bit lower so the electric line don't interfere with my drywall and with my insulation. And then going down this hallway to the right here, we have the photo studio here. And this one is still needs a little work on the ceiling side. And as soon as that's done, we're gonna drop a ceiling in here too. Originally, I was gonna have no ceiling, but it turned out the inspector required me to do a drywall ceiling just based on the city's code here. And I had the plumber add a backup battery here to the sump pump. So just in case the sump pump fails, the backup battery kicks up another pump. And I kind of want to finish these videos with showing you the ongoing cost of doing this project completely from scratch. So if you decide to take on something like this, you have some ideas. And I mentioned this list before, but it ended up costing me $1,200 in just tools alone. So all the tools I had to buy. And then in the material, all the 2x4s that you saw, some of the insulation, like the vapor barrier, the pink stuff you saw, the foam board, about $2,800 there. And so far with the permit and all the contractors, that's another $19,000. Now, I haven't done all of that just yet. I don't have electric done, none of that is done. The drywall is not done. These are just a couple of different quotes that I got. And I've paid a portion of it, but we'll see what that ends up being. And a lot still remains. We have doors, insulation, paint, soundproofing, flooring, trims, bathroom tiles. So still gonna be a couple of different videos before we get to actually setting up our YouTube studio with video equipment. So this is still gonna probably take me another 1 or 2 videos to get these things, and I wanna show you these. But these are really the most important part and why I did this from scratch, because doors and insulation is really what's gonna make this soundproof and a true studio. Otherwise, I'm just turning one of my bedrooms, like I have for the last 4 years, into a YouTube studio. I hope you found some of this educational. I'm hoping in the next video, I could actually show you the soundproofing process, the insulation process, and actually drywalling and closing things up. I'll see you then.